Chapter 1, Know Yourself. Alright, let's get started. It's time to find out your requirements for the place. This is obviously very important, so you can find the place that's actually good for you and that works. So now, please, what I want you to do is take a pen and paper and take a few minutes to go over a few requirements that you want for the place. Write them down so you have a concrete idea in your head. First, you need to think about what city. Many of you will already have this figured out, but other people just want to move to Germany. They don't know where. Figure out what city you want to live in. That's a decision you have to make. If you are torn between 2 or 3 different places and you're looking at cost of living, Numbeo is a great website that can help you with that and show you what the difference is, for instance, in pricing between Berlin and Cologne or somewhere in the countryside and Munich. And you can put these numbers in and find out how much things will cost. Second question you should ask yourself is, within that city, where do you want to live? Do you want to live very much in the city center? Do you want to live a little bit more outside? Do you want to live in a specific neighborhood? Some neighborhoods in the big cities are obviously very popular for good reason, because there's a lot to do, there's lots of restaurants, lots of cafes, but you will always have to price that in. The more popular your neighborhood, the more you will have to pay. The same goes, do you want to live in the city center? It's probably going to be more expensive than if you're willing to live outside. You should ask yourself, how are you going to get to the places that you frequent most often? For instance, where's your university? Where's your workplace? Where do your friends and family live? So those are questions that you can ask yourself to kind of narrow it down where you want to live. Do you want to go around by bike? Do you want to take public transport everywhere? And if yes, how long are you willing to spend on public transport per day? Then if you are looking into a smaller town, maybe you might even need to get a car. Those are all factors that you should think about when you narrow down your location within the city. Thirdly, obviously, very important, money. How much is your budget? All inclusive. Think about it, calculate how much income you're going to have. If you don't know it exactly, come up with a rough estimate and write down the number that you are willing to spend at a max. For everything. That should include the rent, that should include electricity, that should include internet. Come up with the number that's comfortable for you. And be conservative, rather go low, because the rent will be an expense that will come out your bank account every month, and it adds up a lot. So just 50 euros more at the end of the year are 600 euros. So rather pick a conservative number and set that as your maximum budget. Another important question, roommates or alone? If you want to live with roommates, you get social right away, you meet some people, maybe make some friends, and you get to practice German. If you want to live by yourself, that's obviously going to cost you more, but you also have a lot more freedom and no fights about unwashed dishes. So that's something you need to know. Timing, very important. When do you want to move into your place? Do you want to move in right away when you land? Obviously that's ideal. Or are you willing to spend a few weeks in an Airbnb and do your search from there? Get a timeline of when you want to be moving into your place the latest. Furnished or unfurnished? Furnished places are more expensive, but they're also easier to get typically, and they make it very easy and convenient to move in. Unfurnished places are more affordable, but also more work, because you will have to rent a car most likely, go to IKEA, build all that furniture up, and that's some stress and some costs. Also, unfurnished places are typically harder to get. That's something you need to consider. If you're open to both, that's also good. You just, at this point, should pick a favorite so you have a clear idea of what you're looking for. A good solution, in my opinion, is to start out with a furnished place for the first 3 to 6 months, if you can afford it, and then look for an unfurnished place later on. Just make sure you can register the place so you can get settled in Germany right away. But in my experience, that's a solution that works out very well. Size, another thing to consider. How much should your place be in terms of rooms and in terms of square meters? If you're coming from the US, a good roundabout figure, 11 square feet make up 1 square meter, just so you can compare it. In terms of rooms, in Germany, the count of rooms is a little bit different than in many other parts of the world. In Germany, one-room apartment, Einzimmerwohnung, is actually considered a studio in the US, for instance. So you just have to know, in Germany, we count every room that's not a kitchen or a bathroom. It doesn't necessarily mean it's a separated bedroom. Just so you know, and you don't get surprised when you see the place and it's much smaller than what you imagined. Think about how many rooms you need, who will be moving in with you. Maybe a spouse is coming, or you know a friend, or you have children. Just make sure you think of the right amount of rooms and also the right size of square meters. Lastly, do you have any special requirements? Are you bringing pets, for instance? Obviously, the more exotic and bigger the pet, the more difficult it will be to find a place, especially for furnished places. For furnished places, it's very hard to find a place that will accept dogs or cats. If you're just bringing a guinea pig, that shouldn't be a big issue, but make sure you consider that in your planning as well. All right, now you have a lot of things to think about. Take a few minutes, go through the questions, write down what place you want, where you want to live, if you want to live close to public transport, how much your budget is, if you want to live by yourself, if you want a furnished place, and just give yourself a clear idea. Write down your answers now, and I'll see you in the next video.